This week, Parashat Shemot starts the Parashas of Galus. Somebody asked me the other day why last week's Parashat Vayechi, it says Yaakov Avinu, before he's giving the brachas, he says, and I'll tell you what's going to happen in the end of days. Rashi says that because Yaakov legalis asaketz, Yaakov wanted to tell them when Mashiach is going to come. And all of a sudden the Ruach HaKodesh that he had of knowing when the Kates is going to be, nistama mimenu, it was taken away from him. This person wanted to know why. Why wasn't Yaakov allowed to tell his children when Mashiach is going to come? The Zohar says like this. It's going to be a very interesting story. It's talking about when Reb Shimon was in the Ma'ara. So it's over there, the Talmidim were sitting wherever they were learning, and they had a question. The question was that there are two places in the Torah that there's Teichacha. There's one place in Parshas Chukaisai, and there's one place in Parshas Kisavai. And the Talmidim said there's a very big difference between the places. In Parshas Kisavai, in Chukaisai, the Torah ends off by saying that there's going to be a GEULAH. Zechat es bris Rishayim, Zechat es bris Avram, es bris Yitzchak, es bris Yaakov. And the Torah says that Hashem says that He's going to eventually take the Yidden out of their Galus that they're going to be in. Mashenkin in Parshas Kisavai, in the end of Dvarim, over there it doesn't end off with any GEULAH. It sounds like that's it, it's over. That's what the Talmidim were asking him. How did they ask it him? He was in the Ma'ara. They sent a little petek with a bird, and the bird flew and brought it to the Ma'ara where Reb Shimon Yochai was. Reb Shimon Yochai found the petek and he looked at the shayla that they were asking. The Talmidim over there write that the difference between the two teichachas is Parshas B'chukaisai is Bayis Rishon, is Galus Rishon, which was for 70 years, and Parshas Kisavai is about Bayis Sheni, is the Galus of Bayis Sheni. And the Ramban in Parshas B'chukaisai has a whole arichas to prove that the first teichacha is Bayis Rishon and the second teichacha is Bayis Sheni. Ramban has a whole arichas. That's what the Talmidim write. They want to know why Bayis Rishon, the Galus and Bayis Rishon, what we call Galus Bavel, is going to eventually, the Torah says that it's going to eventually have a GEULAH. In Parshas Kisavai, if you look in the Torah, it looks like there's never going to be a GEULAH. In the Galus and Bayis Sheni, the Galus that we're in today,
what's in the skull?
it looks like there's never going to be a GEULAH. That's what it is. It looks like Nigzarnu, that's the Lashon. Nigzarnu Avadnu. That's it, we're lost. How come it doesn't say in the Torah any GEULAH? It says that Reb Shimon Yochai was crying about it, and Eliyahu came to him, and Eliyahu told him, don't worry, I could show you in the Psukim where there's Ramazim to the GEULAH. It's talking out Mefurish. And he tells him the reason it's not Mefurish was because the first ones, they were doing the Averis in public. The first Churban, they were doing the Averis in public. In the second Churban, they were doing the Averis B'seisa Libhoin. In the depths of their heart. They were doing the Averis internally. It wasn't Averis that you were able to see. That's what the Zohar is saying. And that's why the GEULAH is not Mefurish in the Torah. I could teach it to you how it's Merumas in the Torah, but it's not Mefurish in the Torah, because it's Averis that they were doing hidden, therefore the GEULAH is also hidden. There's a Gemara in Yuma that the Gemara says, Deres Rishonim, that Avoinam Nisgala, Kitzam Nisgala, Deres Achreinim, that Avoinam Loy Nisgala, Kitzam Loy Nisgala. The earlier generations that so normally people learn Avoinam Nisgala, that Chazal tells us it was GEULAH because Dam Avodah Zarah. Hashem Deres Achreinim, Kitzam Avoinam Loy Nisgala. It doesn't say anyway exactly what they did wrong, and that's why Kitzam Loy Nisgala. That's why the GEULAH is not Nisgala. Rashi over there says something else. Rashi over there says Deres Rishonim Shavoinam Nisgala, mamish like what the Zohar says, that they were doing the Averis in public. That's why Kitzam Nisgala. That's why their GEULAH is Nisgala. Deres Achronim, that Rashi says they were doing the Averis in private. That's why the Ketz is not Nisgala. What's the pshat? If you do the Averis in public, do the Averis in private? Why is that a difference if the GEULAH should be public or the GEULAH should be private? I think the Vart is like this. There are two ways that one can understand GEULAH. L'mashal, you have the first place of Mikdash, you have 70 years, and Hashem said 70 years. Everybody knew 70 years. Even Achashverosh knew 70 years. The Gemara Megillah, as Achashverosh was always trying to make cheshbonos of when the 70 years was over. It means it's a punishment for specific averos that they did. They did GEULAH Shvichas Dam Avodah Zarah, and there was punishments for those averos that they did. Punishments have a set time. 70 years of Galus, that's the amount of punishment for these specific averos that they did. In Bayis Sheni, there was no specific averos. They were corrupt inside. That's what it means to say so. They were corrupt inside. There wasn't specific averos. They didn't do GEULAH Shvichas Dam Avodah Zarah, but they were inside. They were corrupt. That's not a punishment. The Galus on that is not a punishment. The Galus on that is an education. The Galus on that is a development. They're not here as a punishment. They're here to develop themselves. Every day when a person is in Galus, every day a person is supposed to be developing himself to become a better person. It's not an oynish for specific averes. When it's oynish for specific averes, so there's a specific oynish. 10 years, 20 years of Galus, whatever it is. It's not an oynish for specific averes. It's a process. As soon as the process is over, there's GEULAH. When the process is not over, there's no GEULAH. It's about you. You make the GEULAH. It can't be in the Torah. How could the GEULAH be in the Torah? The GEULAH is not there yet. You're processing the GEULAH. How could the GEULAH be in the Torah? Yaakov Avinu happened to have known. Baruch HaKodesh, he happened to have known when Klal Yisrael is going to end up developing themselves. He happened to have known, so he wanted to tell his kids. It's nistam mimenu because it's not here yet. If someone is going on a trip and he doesn't know where he wants to end up going, he can't start talking about the end of the trip because he doesn't even know yet where the end of the trip is. So how could the Torah go and tell you? How could Yaakov Avinu go and tell his kids when the GEULAH is going to be? He might know a Baruch HaKodesh, but it's not there yet. He has no right to tell it to them because it's not there yet. They have to create the GEULAH. Now it comes out a very, very different thing. When a person's on a trip, there's two types of journeys a person could be. A person could have to get to a specific place, so he just has to get to a specific place, and the whole way he's going is just a hichatimtza to get to that place. Then there's another person. Some people that even if they get a detour, let's say they have to go somewhere, but they get a detour, they enjoy the detour. They go look at the scenery on the road. Galus is like that thing. We're not here to get to a specific end. We're here to develop ourselves as we're going along. So let's enjoy the ride. Let's develop ourselves as we're going along. It's not just, we're not waiting for a specific thing. We're creating that thing to eventually happen. In the second techacha, you see the pasuk ends off and says, "What's the problem? Why are you getting this techacha?" Because the problem was besimcha. The problem wasn't actually doing the mitzvahs. The problem was the way you did it. Were you connected to the mitzvahs you were doing or not? Connection is not, there's no kapara on connection. No kapara on its own without any connection. It's something a person just has to develop. There's no specific kapara on that. When the Yidden were in Galus Mitzrayim, so there's a famous medrash. The medrash says that Moshe Rabbeinu came to Parai. Moshe Rabbeinu said that you have to give them one day off. He said, I think that day should be Shabbos. Happens to be the Shabbos that we have. I think that day should be Shabbos. And what did the medrash says? What Moshe Rabbeinu wanted for? He gave them out Megillas. Klal Yisrael had little Megillas that had divrei Torah on them, whatever Torah was in those days. And that's what they were sitting, and that's what they were learning the whole Shabbos. Now, I haven't seen the Torah in Hilchos Shabbos says that Yismach Moshe b'matnas chelkoi. The matnas chelkoi is Moshe Rabbeinu was happy when Hashem gave Shabbos by Matan Torah. He was happy that he was mechavent that the Yom HaShabbos is taka the right day. The Yom HaShabbos is taka the right day of rest. He was that's Yismach Moshe b'matnas chelkoi. Moshe was happy b'matnas chelkoi that he picked that day as the chelik for the day of rest. What's Shabbos? There are two ways of people understand vacation. Some people understand vacation, it's just, I vacate so I should be able to work right. Working is so hard, you can't constantly work. So I go on vacation so I should be able to work right. That's a mistake. You're working for your vacation. On your vacation is when you are developing. When you're working, you can't. You're busy working. When you're working, you're doing. When you're on vacation, you're being. Moshe Rabbeinu is telling Parai, we have to have a day that Klal Yisrael is going to be something. I mean, he didn't want to explain this to Parai exactly what they want to be. But Moshe Rabbeinu can't have that Klal Yisrael should constantly be working in Mitzrayim. How are they ever going to get to a Matan Torah? They had to develop themselves. Yeah, it's right. There's two ways that menucha could be. The menucha is not just to be able to go weiter. The menucha is to internalize everything that you just took in. That's the only way a person develops. And even in Mitzrayim, Moshe Rabbeinu saw that the Yidden are going to need it. Because that's the purpose of Galus. The purpose of Galus is not just to spend the time and can't wait till let's get out of here. The purpose of Galus is to develop in the Galus itself. And that's what they were doing b'Yom HaShabbos. They were reading these Megillas that they had on Yom HaShabbos, and that's how the Yidden were developing, and that's how they were able to come to even though they weren't 100% ready, but some sort of a preparation, they were able to come to Maimon HaSinai. They weren't doing, they were being. On Shabbos they were being. Shabbos is a day. Shabbos is not just a day so you should be able to work the next week. Shabbos is the day when you're being. The whole week you're just working, you're just getting to the next thing. Shabbos is the day when you're actually being. You know, the pasuk in Tehillim, right? Lulei serascha shashuai, azavati biyani. If Torah wouldn't be my toy, literal ties, right? If Torah wouldn't be my toy, azavati biyani, I would be lost in my pain. And what's this lashon of Torah wouldn't be my toy? It doesn't say if I wouldn't learn Torah. It doesn't say if I wouldn't be Isaac to Torah. It says if Torah wouldn't be my toy. What's a toy? When the kid's playing, what's he doing? He's doing nothing. That's what he's doing. He's not getting anywhere. Playing is not the tachlis to get somewhere. Playing is for the moment. He's just having a good time. Once for Moshe Shapiro, Shashua, it's Shah means to turn. Right? And let's say in Ritzei, in Shemon Esrei we say, that Hashem should turn to our tefillas. Shah means to turn. Shashuoi is 2 times Shah. It's just turn, turn, turn. You're just turning and turning and turning. You're not getting anywhere. That's what Shashua means. You're not getting anywhere. Happens to he used to say, going in a circle. He used to say that Hishana is different than Hishiana. Hishiana means Hashem should help us. Hoshana means Hashem should turn to us. He said it's a mistake that people make. Hoshana, L'mancha L'keinu, L'mancha Bereinu, and it says Hoshana, please turn to us. But anyway, Shashua is a lashon of turning. Shashua is turning. The kid, when the kid's playing, he's just constantly turning. He's not trying to get anywhere. Which type of Torah helps a person ba'onyoy in his pain? Not the Torah he's learning a halacha so that he should be able to do the halacha. He's learning so that he should get somewhere. The learning of just for the Torah itself, the Shashua, he's just turning and turning and turning. That's what's the person doing when he's doing that? He's not doing, he's being. The person is being. He's living with the Torah, he's connecting through the Torah. That's the Lulas Rosh Hashua Vatibani. That's what helps a person in his pain. The Torah of getting somewhere, that means you're thinking about the future. What's his pain? His pain is because he's thinking about the future. What's going to be this? So if you're doing the Torah of thinking about the future, you're not going to get anywhere. You're right, they're not going to get anywhere. But if you're doing the Torah, which the Torah has the koyach of developing you and just being in the moment, that Torah makes you forget about the future. And that's Azavat Dibani. That's Lulas Rosh Hashanah Azavat Dibani.